everyone, welcome to the Acrobatic Arts podcast. I'm Loren, and I will be interviewing some of the top leaders and innovators from the dance and acrobatic industry. If you are a teacher, performer, student, or a lifelong learner like myself, you are sure to find these episodes intriguing and full of inspiration. Acrobatic Arts is passionate about providing current and relevant information for everyone. So please, sit back and enjoy as we share our passion with you and the world. Today, we are going to discover the intricate journey of mastering the handstand forward roll, where flexibility meets strength, control, and unwavering determination. Let's join Acrobatic Arts expert teacher Jill Ford as she shares her top tips behind this challenging skill.
Yeah, so with the handstand forward roll, it's one of the hardest skills for dancers to get just because they do not like to bend this way. They like to extend, not flex in. So it's not natural for them. If you have students who are gymnasts, they are brilliant at this skill. But for the majority, I find the training I've done, like putting kids through exams for 10 years, working on this skill, it's very, very tricky skill to get. When I first started doing exams, my handstand forward rolls were quite tragic. And we actually, some of them were used for teacher training. And ever since I saw that video of my students going in for us to train on to show what not to let your students do, I was determined to figure out how to teach this skill better and have my students be able to master this, because it is a very important skill. You maybe wouldn't use it on stage, but it's got so many other benefits: shoulder strength, arm strength, ability to fall out of something safely, all those important skills. And it takes a lot of upper body strength and control to do it properly. So yeah, and I'm going to share with you some tips and drills, things that you need to have in order to have this skill and master it safely for your students. A common question is, how do you get those arms straight? How do you get your students to do it with arms straight? They always want to bend their arms. So we'll give you a few little tips about that as well today. And hopefully you come out learning something today that you can take back to the classroom. I have a demonstrator today. It's Halo. And she is going to be helping me out because I am not doing handstand forward roll for you. All right, so Halo, we're going to start with the first drill, which is just getting an awesome handstand. So handstands are the foundation for for every acro skill. So you got to have a strong handstand. So we're going to take her to the wall, and she's going to show the straight handstand, because that is something you need to have perfect. That's a level 4 handstand before you really get onto the handstand forward roll. She's going to make sure her toes are growing right up the wall. She's nice and straight. The only thing touching the wall is the tops of her toes. Her head is in line, and I want to see her shrugging her shoulders up into her ears. Okay? And she's squeezing. Every muscle is tight here. Her hands are engaged. And come on down, Halo. Okay? So their hands are right underneath. She's got her spider fingers, I like to call them. And she's got a solid, strong handstand, okay? Always getting those shoulders up into their ears on that handstand, ribs closed. So she's got a great handstand. Now we're ready to work on some of the rolls. So we're gonna start with just your basic forward roll. So we wanna see, to make sure they've got their legs really straight, they're pushing off those legs. Another important thing what we wanna make sure they're doing is they're only rolling on the back part. They're never touching their head on any of these rolls. Their head doesn't touch the mat. They tuck and they get right into their shoulders. So that's just your basic forward roll. Now we're going to add a little oomph to that, and let's go diving. So we're going to jump, add a little more power to this. Her arms are going to swing back, and she's going to jump and reach forward with her arms at the same time, trying to get as much distance and height as possible. I always like to challenge my students. We'll have a row of mats, and I'll be like, some of my mats are those colored ones. So I have blue, green, different colors. And I'll say, okay, if you start in blue, you got to get to the next blue one, or you got to get to the next green one. So when you're working on the dive roll, give them things to get to, or challenges, or put some yoga blocks to jump over. Another great one for this one is bringing out a stack. So if I have a stack, especially if they're a little bit scared of diving and landing that far, you can build up a little bit of confidence. So just make sure you hold it because it can slide on the mat, which we figured out earlier today. So I'm going to hold the mat for her. She's going to start, a safe distance to start. So she's going to jump. She's going to try to land on the mat with her dive roll. Okay, so that was pretty easy for her. So now I'm going to be like, back up. And I'm going to push the mat even further. And you've got to jump from all the way to there and get to the stack. Okay, so it gives her a focus. It gets her pushing herself. And it's fun. Go. Push. Yeah, she made it. Jess, good job. Okay, great job. So that's another little thing. We're going to bring this out again, actually, for our handstand forward roll. So we're going to leave it. Okay, so they've got the forward roll. They've got the dive roll. They've got that amazing handstand. They obviously are strong enough and ready to do this level 4 skill. Okay, the dive roll is also in level 4. So we are going to talk about the handstand forward roll now. One very important part of the handstand roll is the candle. She's going to start with her arms by her ears, squeezing everything, squeezing her ribs in. She's going to roll back, shoot her legs to the ceiling, boom, and come back. And let's put your hands right on the mat. Ready? Go. Push. Okay, so in the handstand forward roll, you will see the candle as one of the parts of the handstand forward roll. You'll see our straight handstand, we'll tuck, we'll show candle, and then the roll out, okay? So we're gonna put that all together. So she's got a great candle, she's got all those things. Now we're ready to do handstand forward roll, okay? So I'm gonna show you with a spot just so you can slowly see it. Go ahead, Halo. So handstand, she's gonna tilt her legs, tuck, and roll onto the shoulders. I just started this new little saying with my students as we are getting ready for our exams this season. And the 2 words I say is tilt and tuck. And for some reason, it's really stuck with them. And they went from getting those arms bent and piking in their hips to really reaching out and getting that perfect forward roll. So I'm going to show you a few errors that I'm sure you see on your dancers that we want to try to correct, okay? So the first one is piking in the hip. So when they pike, their arms are going to bend because that's the only way. They can't not bend their arms. So if you find your dancers bending arms or arms, it could be, well, it is because they're piking usually. So you want to make sure that they're not piking in those legs. So to eliminate that, we got to get the tilt going. So we're going to go our handstand, straight handstand. We're going to tilt our legs, tuck, and roll. Okay? So getting those arms nice and straight. If they find that they just can't don't feel like they can bend their wrists that far to keep them straight, have them invert them. They can invert them slightly, and it sometimes makes it easier to get into that candle and keeping their arms straight. If they just can't get their arms straight and they're falling and they're doing that, sometimes when they land, they wing their back out. So we kind of call it a yogi. So they're this way and they land flat. So they just can't get their shoulders. They've really got to get their shoulders together. There's a couple things you can do. You can bring out your trusty stack again, because that's an easy thing. We all have these. So she's going to do her handstand here and then roll. Because a lot of times this mastery of this skill is all confidence, and the dancers are just scared to roll from a full handstand all the way down to the mat. This provides them an extra little bit of security, okay? So she's going to do her handstand. Here we go. Then she's going to tilt, tuck, and she's going to land on the mat. Because a lot of times students are like, I need a spot. Well, you can't spot everybody at the same time. So throw out some stacks, and they can do this without a spot. This is your spot. And then eventually they do it, and then pretty soon you can take the mat away, and they've built up that feeling that they can do it. Okay, so that is your handstand forward roll onto a stack. If they still are not able to keep you've tried everything, their arms keep bending. In order for them to just get it, I will let them bend their arms. Like, okay, just bend your arms a little bit. And then once they get the flow, they'll be able to get them straighter. So that's your last resort, because you really just want to get them doing it, especially if you have an exam coming up. So say, okay, I'll let you bend your arms and get them bending their arms. And then slowly, once they get it, it'll come with the straight arms. Okay. So one more time, Halo will show it without a spot. She's going to do that awesome handstand. She's going to tilt, tuck, candle, and all the way up. Okay. But that is my little bite size on handstand forward roll.
A huge thank you to Jill Ford for guiding us through some of the drills that she uses in class for the handstand forward roll. Acro is the fastest growing genre in dance studios today. Don't miss out on certification this summer. Our North America tour is already selling out. Register now. Thanks for listening, everyone, and have a great day.